Good morning. I'm sitting here in the parking lot. It is 7:20. Our game's at 11:30, but there are two games going on starting at 8 o'clock. So I'm out here scouting. Charlotte Soccer Academy and BRYC Elite are both teams in our group. They're playing at 8 o'clock on one field. And then Match Fit Academy is playing South Carolina Surf on the adjacent field. So I'm probably just gonna sit in my car, might get out and wander around a little bit. Just kind of see what's in store for us this weekend. I'm interested in kind of watching their warm-ups and obviously trying to learn a little bit too, and see what other teams are doing across the country that may or may not work for the MTA girls. But other than that, I'm just trying to identify what might be happening on set pieces, team formations, whether they're in 4-4-2 or 4-3-3 or something different. Again, just trying to be as prepared as possible and also to be able to put the girls in the best possible position to compete. I've been up since 3 o'clock. I couldn't sleep very well. Nervous and excited for what's going on. Again, this is our first competitive event in close to a year and a half. That's a long time. And with that said, this is the first competitive event for 6 out of our 18 girls on this team, a third of the girls. Couple that with the fact that the travel to get here is not easy from Minnesota. There are no direct flights to Richmond. Maybe 5 or 6 of the girls' families flew into DC yesterday, but the traffic was unbelievable trying to get down here. I did the same thing, and what should be a 90-minute drive on paper was close to 3.5 hours. A lot of players' families flew through Atlanta, had a connection there, came into Richmond, but ultimately our team probably averaged 8 or 9, maybe 10 hours of travel to get here. And that's draining. And it may not show up today, but it will definitely hit us tomorrow, where we possibly could have 2 games. Like I said, a little bit behind the 8 ball, so trying to do everything that I can to help them. As I mentioned yesterday, I did come out to the fields yesterday. Field 7 that we play on, that all our group plays on, is huge. It's 120 by 70. So we're gonna have a lot of tired legs by the end of the day tomorrow, regardless if there's 1 game or 2 games. Other than that, my real thoughts have been, unless the teams that we face out here are drastically better than us technically and tactically, or far superior athletically, then really the winning of the games will come down to me and my decisions. Not only the decisions here today, but the decisions of the last 6 months. How have we been training? What have I been doing with them to get them better? Is it on par? Is it comparable to what some of the other bigger clubs across the country are doing? So I'm super nervous about that too. The girls are going to play hard. I know that. But again, it's my job to get them ready to play hard, to motivate them to play hard today, to juggle the substitution patterns and playing positions to make sure that we continuously have a balanced, strong lineup out there. We don't have a goalkeeper. There are 6 kids that might play goalkeeper this weekend. And because of that, I don't want to play a kid a whole game, let alone a whole half as a goalkeeper. And what we've been doing in the Winter League is playing a quarter of a game and rotating 4 kids in. I can almost guarantee no other team here is going to be doing that. And because we have so many kids and no one specializing, we haven't had a lot of training in that position. A little bit of another disadvantage for us. Those game time decisions, coupled with how I've selected and prepared this team, ultimately is a reflection on me. And a lot of the stuff that I do today and this weekend will dictate whether we're competitive or not with these teams. Again, assuming that we're comparable skill-wise and athletically. If we're not, then there's nothing any coach could have done. If we are, then again, it's a lot on my shoulders, and I feel a lot of that pressure. The parents have spent a lot of money to get here, sacrificed their time in a pandemic, taken risks to get their kids out and playing and competing. So I feel a responsibility toward the parent group. But with all that said, I have to make sure that I keep things in perspective. Yeah, the performance might reflect on me, but I can't have that be what drives my decisions this weekend. And that's the struggle that I think a lot of coaches face. There's a lot of egos in this game. There's a lot of pressure to win because of how that reflects on coaches and clubs, and ultimately that drives the game forward in a certain level, but it also is not beneficial to the players. And coming into this morning, this is a lot of what I've been thinking about, and trying to make a commitment and trying to stand firm in my head that, again, this is about the girls this weekend. My tone, if we get in tight situations, or we get completely dominated in games, my body language, my words, actual words that I'm talking to the girls about, those all have big impact on their enjoyment of this game and ultimately their retention. And we have to retain kids at this age in order for them to realize their true potential down the road. Been a lot of reflection over especially last week coming into this event, and particularly this morning for 3 or 4 hours while I lay awake in my hotel room. But again, my desire is to make sure that I'm out here putting the girls' interests first. And though the win-loss results may reflect on me personally, I need to make sure that that's not impacting any kind of decisions or any of my actions this weekend. I don't know if that made sense. I was just kind of talking off the top of my head, but I don't really have anything else to do except sit here and watch the teams warm up. So we'll see how the day goes. I'm excited and nervous. I've come into tournaments like this thinking that we're going to walk all over teams and haven't scored a goal, end up not scoring a goal. And I've come into tournaments thinking that we're just outclassed, and we end up doing really, really well. So this game always surprises me. 20 years into coaching and 30 years after playing in college and 40 years after starting the game. Yeah. It's always surprising. That's why I love it.